You're listening to From a Certain Point of Skew, the only goddamn podcast to have it shit together. Just kidding, Matt. Wow. I am Jason the Angry Ginger Jedi Guy. I'm inside the Wookiee Poo Studios, broadcasting here, not alone, on the monitors, they're called the Skype lines, but we got to give them like a Star Wars name. Like, what's our hollow something?
The Hyper Skype lines?
There we go. We got the Hyper Skype lines, and that's Darth Matthews. He's on there, and he's already talking.
Yeah, and you know what? We're thinking, we were looking into some different options there because, StreamYard tried to gouge us at the pump and raise our rates like crazy. Inflation has hit StreamYard. I was looking into.
Do you have $500 a month, or it was almost $500 a year?
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah. If you pay the annual, if you pay the monthly, it's even worse.
Who are these podcasters that are just throwing money on this? It's got to be for like the streaming people, right? The people on YouTube that are just making money, showing their nanas or something.
I don't think. I think it's for people who do a lot of streaming and do a lot of episodes and are just like, hey, it's worth the investment,
Money's coming in to pay for it because that's a ton of money.
Or they're just like, this is what I want to do and this is the easiest way to do it, so I'm just going to pay for it. Right. Fuck it, I could see that being the case.
Run that past the lady. Tell us what your lady friend says.
I think that's going to go well.
You want to try? You don't want to poke the bear?
Every time I start putting together giveaways, she's probably like, what are you doing now?
Oh, boy.
How much do you make on the podcast? 0.
Yeah. I really thought this was going to be like a year project. Like, what's going on?
What do you guys have to even talk about? They keep canceling movies.
Yeah. That's what we talk about.
Exactly. That's fodder for the show. Oh, by the way, I have to ask because it was just last night. Do you think the Tyson fight was rigged?
I think it was rigged. Yes. Okay. And I also think it was, I don't think anybody could have predicted how bad it was.
It was so terrible.
Probably the most boring boxing match ever.
It was the worst boxing match ever. It was so fucking boring.
Yeah. Like, what is this fucking Tyson's in the ring just beating up his trainer, and then he gets in the ring and just short of like needing a cane to get over to him, like, right? Like he looked like a different person.
Right. I mean, obviously we all saw the trainer stuff, and of course the trainer's just sitting there meant to take blows, so it's not what an opposite fighter would do. But at the same time, and I get that Paul's got reach on him and all that, but dude, like. He hit him with a couple shots in the first round, and that was it. It was just like he just fucking, walked. He walked around and ate his gloves for 7 rounds.
Right. Yeah. What is that chewing fetish
So he had done that in the past, I guess. Well, did you hear how he explained it afterward?
No, I didn't.
He said, they asked him, why do you do that? And he said, I have a bit of, what did he say? He said, I have a biting fixation.
An oral fixation?
But he said, I have a biting fixation, which I thought was appropriate. But it just was like everybody, especially those of us of a certain age who watched him absolutely murder people in the ring back in the day, just kept going like, come on, Mike, like, let's go. And he just wouldn't get in there.
Well, some of it I thought was like a tactic. Like, he is almost 60 years old. So I thought he's just waiting to the end.
Sure.
And he's going to unload on this dude.
Well, and I thought he would go strong. I thought he'd come out of the gate like hot, like trying to throw big death blows and then get tired and fucking lose.
Right.
But man, it was very difficult to watch. It was just sad. Yeah. At one point I was texting my friends. I said it was like, it's like watching my dad try to dodge punches. This is terrible.
Right. Well, that's why I think it's rigged, because Jake Paul, after 3 rounds, he should have been like, okay, this guy's not coming after me. Now, I'm sure there's a part of him. I don't give a fuck who you are. You don't want to get in on that and get a punch from Mike Tyson. No. Right? So he felt that punch and he was like, maybe I'm just going to stay away a little bit and use this fucking long reach on him. That's what it looked like he was doing. But after a few rounds and old man's not coming at him, he should have fucking unloaded on him.
Right.
Because at that point, he'd had all the energy in the world for 3-4 more rounds to go after him. But that's why I think it was rigged.
I don't want to get into conspiracy mode, but it seems a little convenient that he just basically sat back and just hit him with little jabs. And then, bowed to him in the last 10 seconds of the fight. It was so fucking boring. I mean, it was one of those where I was like, thank God this isn't pay-per-view.
Right. Yeah, it was just our normal membership. Now, did you watch the women fight before?
I did not see it. I just saw the very end where they were like, well, first of all, that cut on that gal's eye was pretty bad. But they were like, I saw some of the highlights. She kept headbutting her, and she like dominated her on punches.
Unbelievable fight, though, man. Yeah. I mean, they just beat the shit out of each other. That's what you want to see,
Did you see the first one on the main undercard where the guy started humping the guy in the corner?
Yes.
What the fuck was that?
Well, I'll tell you, my son had some questions.
That was
He's 12
crazy.
years old, and he looks right at me. He's like, Dad, what's going on? Why is he doing that? I was like, well, I can't remember if it was Cole or Kyle. It was a domination thing. And then he's like, well, what's that? And I'm like, oh, boy.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh man,
That was
crazy.
really weird.
Well, and I didn't see a little bit of the pre-fight stuff. So when they showed the end where they're leaving the fight and they showed that shot of Tyson being interviewed and then turning around, and he's got his fucking jockstrap on. Dude, you got old man ass. Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, like, you know what? You got to have some fucking like torque and some muscle going through, and I'm like, he's not pulling anything in that ass.
No.
I was like, he has old man ass.
Yeah.
Like it was just saggy, droopy butt.
We need to do some lunges and stuff. We need to work those glutes, bud. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get in the fucking gym with some of them like 20-year-old influencer chicks.
Who are mad that you're in their shot.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm trying to record here. We are a Star Wars podcast, believe it or not.
That's true.
From a certain point of skew.com is our website. You can find us on Twitter and Threads at FactPapod. You can find us on Blue Sky, and I want to talk to you about that at factpapod.bisky.social. So a lot of people have been making the trek over to Blue Sky. Twitter losing a lot of followers. I saw your plea. Hey, there's still some good people here. I saw your plea there.
Well, that's not for me. That's for like everyone leaving. I'm like, dude, like I don't understand it because 4 months ago everyone fucking hated it for one political reason, and now it's the completely other way. It's like one party, we'll just say it, isn't happy with the other, and then I'm just like, fucking just sit here and don't talk politics, and let's talk about we all love fucking Star Wars. We all like all these people that I follow, at least, or follow me, are for some other reason other than the political. So I just don't do that. I don't know why everyone is so stuck on that.
I think it's because I think it's fair for people to be like fed up with Twitter in the sense that the amount of shit that I have to wade through to see the posts I want to see sometimes is overwhelming. It's so many fucking ads, so many like the amount of times I've seen like Trump's face pop up on my feed, I'm like, okay, already. Like, can I get to the shit I want to see? And so it gets a little bit old. However, our show is not leaving Twitter. Of course, we still have our Twitter account and all that stuff. But I thought, I'd created this Blue Sky account a while ago and a Threads account. And the Blue Sky account, I think we had 20 followers or something like that. It was very small because I really didn't post that much over there. So then I'm like, well, fuck it. Let's lean into it a little bit. And I think we're up to like almost like 250 followers now. And there's a lot of chatter going on there. I actually do kind of like the user interface for Blue Sky. It's very Twitter-esque, so it's very familiar.
That's what I thought. Was Blue Sky created by Jack Dorsey? Was that his name?
I can't remember the history.
I want to say when he sold it, he just went and created that, but I could be wrong.
I don't know how it all came about. I can't remember the history. But it used to be you used to have to be invited. Like if I got an account,
yes,
I would have to give you a code to add. Now they're wide open, and they have gone like through the roof. I think they've gone up like 300 or 400% in the last few months. So a lot of people over there. And the nice thing is because it's not inundated with all that stuff that Twitter has at this point, I'm sure it will be.
Right.
The content you see is pretty skimmed down. It's a lot easier to get through the stuff you want to see on Blue Sky. But also the flip side of that being there's not as many people over there. So you're not getting all the stuff you get on Twitter too. Anyway, we're there. We're there on Blue Sky. Go find us.
We're there. At FactPapod on all three, right?
Yes, correct. And then factpapod@gmail is our email, and our voicemail is 678-FACPA77. So please reach out to us in those ways because we would love for you to engage with our show.
Yeah, we want to hear from you. I was just asked what one I'm going over to because one of my listeners is leaving. And I was like, it's a fucking shit show anywhere. I'm here. I said, I'll be the last one I'll fucking burn with this app.
Yeah. This place, man.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. I'm fucking here.
Are you going to be the Will Smith meme at some point? The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the Fresh Prince one, where he's standing in the empty room and all the furniture's gone. He's looking around.
Yeah. The last episode. Yeah. Looking around. Yep. All right. Will Smith's not on the show today, but what's on the show? We've got a question of the week, 80s style Star Wars films, some news, D23 Brazil reveals, and Simon Kinberg is taking on his own trilogy, and there may be a Ray problem. Skeleton Crew preview spectacular. That's us. That's the big part of the show. And then we'll end with one email in the Maul Bag.
Yeah, heavy Skeleton Crew today. And then, of course, that Ray movie stuff's going to get real interesting, so I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah.
Question of the week I threw out, I said Skeleton Crew is leaning into the 80s nostalgia, and it got us thinking, what 80s movie vibes or theme would you use to create a new Star Wars film? We got a lot of responses on this, including a lot of responses on Blue Sky and Threads.
Oh, I want to see a sleepaway camp movie in the Star Wars universe.
What, like a slasher or like a more like a everybody's fucking around and like banging and stuff and getting up to silly antics at a camp?
Yeah, I'm good for both of them. But do you know the ending to Sleepaway Camp?
No.
Where the killer's like the chick turns around, she's got a dick. Like what?
And it could be a saber.
Right. Oh my God, they could do that with Ray. Would the haters fucking change their tune then? Like, I knew it was a guy. I fucking loved her the whole time.
She's rather tall, you know?
Yep.
All right, so first up, we got Hyperspace Heroes. That'd be Brown Leader. He says, Porglins, a member of a Delphi squadron finds a nest of porgs and finds out that it's a bad idea to feed them after midnight. Now the base is under a lockdown, and Carson Teva must lead his squadron in a life-or-death defense against an insanely cute horde. We're going to get another Gremlins reference in a minute. A lot of people like the Gremlin style. Ray Gun Richard says, Predator? ? And it's a shot of Predator with a lightsaber. I like that shot.
That'd be badass.
Who's the Predator? Who do you make the Predator in a Star Wars Predator? Is it the fucking Wampa on Hoth or something? What is it?
Kit Fisto.
I like that one. Next up is Brian Hour. He's got a couple. Star Wars version of Rambo / Commando, where a clone vet is called back for one more mission. This is a great idea.
Dude, if you go hard R with that, I want to see it.
Which you got to be careful the way you say that. Which clone do you go with? Is it somebody we know? Somebody we don't know? I mean, Hunter would be an obvious one because he's already got the damn bandana, you know?
Right, yeah. Yeah. For like the Rambo version, definitely Hunter. But
yeah,
if you do like the Commando thing, I say like maybe go away from it. Like create a new character.
I see it. Okay. Yeah.
But it has to look like Homeboy, doesn't it? So I guess it doesn't really matter because.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's Tamura. I thought maybe like give, you know, everybody's been clamoring for Commander Cody to show up. Maybe this is where he shows up. He's just totally broken.
Right.
The wool, you know, like the rug's been pulled out from under him with the whole Empire stuff, and he's
right.
you know, pissed about it. So he's just gone off the fucking grid. And the next thing you know, he walks through a small town. Brian Dennehy gives him shit, and everything goes crazy. He also says, Brian Hour, Star Wars version of Secret of My Success. What a great fucking reference. Where an ISB intern, Cyril, makes his way up the ladder and into Dedra's bed. I was thinking about it, but it wouldn't, if you're going to go with the Secret of My Success method, wouldn't he have to start by banging Uncle Harlow's wife, his Uncle Harlow's wife? Because isn't that how that happens?
Remember the name? Yeah, it's right. He gets the job. He's the mail clerk, but he ends up, doesn't he drive her home in the limousine and doesn't know it's his aunt or something?
Correct.
Right?
He doesn't know it's the woman married to his uncle. But Uncle Harlow is Cyril's uncle. I looked that up because I couldn't remember. Remember the mom being like,
yes,
your Uncle Harlow will get you a job.
You got, yep. Sounded just like her.
I mean, he'd eventually get Dedra in the end, but he's got to go through.
I'm so disappointed in you. You're fucking your aunt.
Have another bowl of cereal. Ro chimes in. Only because I was talking about it earlier today. To Live and Die in L.A. Oh, man. Do you remember that film?
Ooh. You know what? I know of it. Was it Peter Williamson, right? It's William Peterson.
William Peterson, yes. Yeah, it's him. And then
Willem Dafoe?
Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe is the bad guy.
Right?
Yeah. They're basically like Secret Service, and they're going after counterfeiters. And Willem Dafoe is like running some counterfeiting ring. It gets really fucking dark, that film. So yeah, I mean, you could have them going after like people who are like counterfeiting old Republic credits or something.
Credits, yeah.
There you go.
I like it.
Marty Lasso, Big Trouble in Little China. Fuck yeah. Egg Shen can be an older Jedi. Lopan a Sith. Jack Burton can be a tone-deaf Han Solo type. That works on a couple levels because Kurt Russell was almost Han Solo.
Right.
So it fucking totally works. Oh, I'd like to see
if they see, the problem is like they fear the Lucasfilm for changing it up a little too much. But if they were like, you know what, we're gonna stick with trying to find these new molds or whatever, that would be a fun movie to play with. It doesn't have to have a big budget, right? Like just have some fucking fun.
It has this fantastical quality to it, which fits right in with Star Wars. It would work. It would work great. I mean, they're basically doing fucking lightsaber fights in that damn thing. You know, well, they're doing like Force lightning fights.
Right? Yeah. I might have to write this story.
There you go. It could be part of Factma Stories. Clancy says, Gremlins. There you go. I want to see a bad batch of Kowakian monkey lizards wreak havoc, ruining Empire infrastructure and plans.
I do like this.
I feel like you could morph this with the first one. So the porgs are the mogwai,
Right?
and the
this
monkey
is what
lizards
the gremlins
are the gremlins. Yeah, I think you make that the. DBH Writer says Monster Squad and The Thing. I don't remember Monster Squad at all. Do you remember that film?
Monster Squad is, now see, podcasting, forgetting his name, Shane Black's. It's Shane Black's first screenplay. It's these kids who, I don't know if they're the responsible, but it's basically like the monsters are in the neighborhood, right? So there's Dracula and the Wolfman. It's Wolfman's got nards, because the kid kicks the Wolfman in the dick.
This is an 80s movie?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It's like the horror Goonies type thing, like these kids and like the virgin girl's got to cast the spell, and then like it's not working, and he's like, "How's this not working? The virgin's supposed to be able," and she's like, "I never said I was a virgin."
So this is like it's a horror spoof essentially. It's like when they made the fun of the Scream films, that kind of thing.
This it was more like Scream. In the sense that like it took itself serious, but it was a comedy. It was like Shane Black is responsible for like Lethal Weapon. He did Iron Man 3. He did The Predators. What was Shane Black? Long Kiss Goodnight. Like his dialogue is real punchy. It's sarcastic. He did. Didn't Shane Black do Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe?
Oh, the something guys, the nice guys.
Yes, nice guys. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. I've never seen it. Well, and then I thought about The Thing, which I thought was interesting. Again, this could be, I keep coming back to the goddamn Wampa. I mean, but The Thing also, I think The Thing was the one with Kurt Russell, and they're like in some ice place. So it could be like a Hoth or Ilum type setting, kind of thing. I do.
Ice station.
I kind of like the Star Wars horror idea. They'll never do it, but I think, they've kind of leaned into it a little bit with certain scenes from certain things, but like a full-on horror movie with in Star Wars realm would be kind of fun.
Yep. Yeah, there's a few episodes of the Clone Wars we discussed that had like the horror vibe. They've played with it in The Mandalorian, but like full-on bloody, like scary shit. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, Star Wars, they kind of done like that, a little bit of the alien type horror, that kind of horror.
I know you haven't read any of the books, but what's the Clone Troopers book, the one with the zombies?
Oh,
is it Dark Troopers? What's it called?
I can't remember the name of it.
No.
Next, we got a few that kind of run together. Robbie says, "Where's my Indiana Jones style Afra story?" And so we're gonna have a few of these in a row. Drew Zod says, "Inverse Indiana Jones type adventure starring Dr. Afra." Everybody's into Dr. Afra. And then I Am Anakin's Father says, "Indiana Jones style, where our hero is searching for lost Jedi and Sith artifacts." So two people mentioned Dr. Afra, which I always have to remind myself who Dr. Afra is. But essentially a kind of a collector of artifacts and weapons and stuff like that, but not the most like morally sound person, worked for Vader a lot and stuff.
Yeah, she worked for Vader, yeah.
So maybe that's the inverse part of it, is that she's not like Indiana Jones, where he's like, put this belongs in a museum. She's not like that. She's trying to make
this belongs in my living room.
I did look her up, by the way, and it said at one point in the books, I guess, she fakes her, or maybe the comics, she fakes her own death and then goes by the name Joystick Chevron.
What?
That sounds like you were looking around the room. You're like, picture frame.
It does. Right.
There's
an Atari over there, joystick, gas station, Chevron.
Got it. And also I was thinking, if you're going to do an indie style, what about Fee from Bad Batch? That's essentially what she was. She was kind of she was kind of an artifact collector. Granted, more for profit than the good of the cause or anything, but still. JP Abel says 80s slasher movie with Vader as the unstoppable killer. He's already got the breathing thing,
Yep. And the hallway kill in Rogue One, so we just need 92 more minutes of film and we're good to go.
Yes, exactly. They both wear masks. They both are like always in a no rush in their pursuit of their victims. It works great.
Yeah. And they really could tell if they told it from like the childhood perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this guy, like Vader could just come to like some outpost planet or something, right? And he's haunting these people, or there's this, people are thinking, oh, we've seen something out there, this myth or whatever. And then it's him haunting them. Very Michael Myers like.
Well, we got a little bit of it in the Kenobi series. Remember when he's walking down those streets and Kenobi's hiding, just watching him?
Yeah, and he just grabs that chick and drags her.
That's
oh man,
terrible.
it is. Uh-huh.
Max Rebo Experience says it's more 90s, but an Empire Records, Empire Records type show where losers come together to save something from destruction, or one about some plucky upstart band trying to become successful. Oh, well, you know who we'd want the plucky upstart band to be led by? Max Rebo himself.
Oh, okay.
Maybe do it like a Max Rebo or something else band story, but it's like the mockumentary style. It's like Spinal Tap.
Oh, I like it. Yeah.
Adelphi Rangers, Top Gun, of course. Top Gun Redemption style story where we learn that what R5D4 did during the Galactic Civil War that led to him being so nervous in Mando. Oh, with the Carson Teva cameo too, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, shit, if we ever get Rogue Squadron, that's basically Top Gun. So you might get what you want there.
Yeah.
I don't know that we'll get that. Max Rebo again. They could recycle some sitcom and put it on Coruscant. Keep it mostly indoors to limit the post-production. Mom is a former Republic official who now works for the Empire. Dad is unemployed from the droid factory. Neighbor is a clone trooper. Hijinks by hiding their kids' M counts. That's pretty good. I mean, a Star Wars sitcom would break the internet if they ever did that.
Oh, my God.
Full laugh track included.
Yes.
Oh, man. Finally, Brown Leader again says, could use Beaumont Kin, played by Dominic Moynihan, and he's searching the galaxy and ends up writing the rise and fall of the Galactic Empire under the pen name @Chris Kempshall, which I love this because I think this was just an excuse for him to fucking tag the writer of that book.
Was that the writer of the book? Okay.
Yeah, he's just sucking up. I respect the hustle.
Have we talked about this before? But I feel like back in, was it Mando season 3 when Tim Meadows shows up as like the guy who's running the right? There needs to be like an office version. Was it the Mandalorian or was it Andor? It was Mandalorian.
It was Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like an office version of that with Tim Meadows as the Michael, and I think that could play funny.
Oh, it would be great. I mean, and the awkward humor.
Yes.
The cringy stuff.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for sending those in, as I will get to in a moment. Though you got entries for the giveaway, so the giveaway is back on. So we're
doing the giveaway before the show even started?
Fuck yeah, let's start it now.
We're keeping tally already?
I haven't tallied it yet, but I'm gonna.
Okay.
I got it.
Spreadsheet's coming, folks.
But the problem is now I'm trying to make us active on all 3 of those platforms, so I got to poke around everywhere to find people. Yeah.
Right.
I'm just making life worse for myself. All right, in the news, a couple items here, but they're big ones. There was a lot of buzz going into D23 in Brazil about there's going to be some new footage, new trailers, blah blah blah. For Skeleton Crew, maybe some stuff for Mando, Grogu, and Andor Season 2. And from the reports online, it sounds like they showed a scene from Skeleton Crew along with a new trailer. Haven't seen it. As this stuff is being talked about, I go online looking for the leak, and I can't find it fucking anywhere. That's impossible.
Right. I know.
And there's no way there's not a leak somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
They showed a video message from Favloni, I should say. And I guess they showed a little bit of new footage. And then they showed some footage from Andor Season 2. I don't understand how none of this ended up on somebody's phone. I don't get it. Did they fucking confiscate people's phones when they walked in?
They must have. I mean, I
put it in the bag.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Brazil, they have cell phones there.
They do, as a matter of fact.
So I'm not sure what's going on here.
All right. Well, fast forward a couple days, and we get some new images and bits from Andor Season 2 and Skeleton Crew in that new Disney Plus spot, which you've seen, right? It's got a mix of the Marvel stuff and all that. There wasn't a whole lot shown from the Skeleton Crew side, but they showed quite a bit on the Andor side. And some of the stuff was really interesting. They showed your girl Binks telling Cassian, I assume, they need a pilot. And then we see the shot of him with this red outfit. Now, at first you see the upper part of his red outfit, and you're thinking, is that a rebel outfit? But then you see the full shot, and it's an Imperial TIE Fighter outfit that he's wearing.
Yeah. And they show what's the TIE Fighter called?
It might be a new one. It looks like the Interceptor.
That's the Interceptor.
With those weird, pointy wings, with the fucking shockers on the side. But it also looks huge. They show a shot from it from the back. It looks big. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's got a big butt. Like Mike Tyson doesn't.
You hear Luthen talking to Andor about you're thinking like a thief. And he's like, I'm thinking like a soldier. And he says, you need to think like a leader. Surely those two are going to butt heads a lot in this series, about how to go about doing things, which will be fun.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a lot of good dialogue scenes with those two. You see a scene of the stormtroopers descending on a town square where it looks like people are protesting, and troopers got their weapons drawn already, and then a gunfight ensues. No way. Now, I've heard people speculate that this is the Gorman Massacre. Are you familiar with the Gorman Massacre?
No, hit me up. What is it?
So, well, it was referenced in Star Wars Rebels, probably in some other reading material as well. But this is what like really throws your gal Mon over, like where she's like, I'm out. I'm fucking leaving the Senate. She drops a big message at the Senate, like this is the Emperor's responsible for this, and then she fucking pieces out. The Ghost Crew has to get her out of there.
Yeah, this was in Rebels, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
essentially, yeah. So that's what people are thinking this is. They think this is the depiction of that event that like really sparks, a big switch to the rebellion. They show Andor rocking that same jacket we see him wearing at the beginning of Rogue One. I think it looks like the same jacket when he's on Yavin, which is he's walking out. It's like, is this the scene? Is this the final scene where he's walking out to the ship to go fly to the rings of Catherine or whatever it's called?
Well, did you see Tony Gilroy? Tony Gilroy had said like they spend quite some time actually discussing like how Yavin became to be and what it is, and he's got his own. But I guess this is going to piss some people off because there's already stories for that, and this is his version of it. So from a certain point of view, people.
Well, what I like is the fact that Tony Gilroy is the first to tell you he's not necessarily a huge Star Wars fan. Then he's like, we're going to really get in depth on Yavin.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, nerd. Not a Star Wars fan at all, though. There's a very quick shot of Binks on some planet in like a wheat field or something. And it looks like behind her, one of the guys is the guy whose dad got killed. And he's the one who threw the fucking grenade to spark that whole fight at Ferrix, after she delivers her message. I think that he's the one. I don't know who the gal is. It doesn't look like Vel. I think it's somebody else, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And then you get just one little quick shot of Dedra. You get a shot of K2SO, probably on Coruscant. So that's cool because we know we're going to get him. And we also learned that it's dropping on April 22nd. So we've got a date. How'd you feel about that date? I think we were speculating that it would be, I think we were hoping for like February, March. But April's not bad. And it's right after Celebration. Like literally 2 days after Celebration.
Right. And that's all we're getting next year. So I can see why they're going to put a little gap between Skeleton Crew and Andor.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're going to show some episodes at Celebration. So people, they're going to probably send out early stuff for people to, get a jump on the show. Not us, of course.
No.
They don't believe in us. Anyway, that was kind of it from D23, unless you had anything else.
No, I think you nailed it.
Okay, well, the other thing we were going to talk about is this whole Rey film and also the Kinberg stuff. So we get this news that I say Kinberg, it's Kinberg, sorry, that he's got a trilogy that he's going to make. They've given him handed over the keys for him to make a trilogy, and I wanted to talk about kind of how that affects Rey and all the other Star Wars films, because it's like you almost need to get a whiteboard out so we can try to figure this out.
Man,
there's
a lot going on.
Full
Sunny in Philadelphia here. Just put a cigarette in your mouth and start running yarn to shit. Because my God, let the speculation runneth over.
I know. So yeah, obviously we talked about how Stephen Knight left the Rey New Jedi Order film as the writer, and what could that mean? And then Disney Ridley. Ooh, is that her new name? Might be. Daisy Ridley. She's talking about how excited she is for her character and these films and all that stuff. So then you fast forward, you get this Kinberg drop, and he was, for anybody who doesn't know, he was the co-creator of Star Wars Rebels, and he also was like a consultant on The Force Awakens. He's thick as thieves with J.J. Abrams. But he's been hired to write and produce this new series. The rumors about this new series include it'll be a new trilogy. It'll be a trilogy. It could be episodes 10 to 12 of the Skywalker saga. That's one rumor. It could involve Rey, maybe as an older, wiser, seasoned Obi-Wan style Jedi. Also, we get the fact that it's supposed to be these films are supposed to be produced with Kathleen Kennedy. Uh-oh. That just makes you think, okay, did a portion of the fandom just shit a brick when they heard her name? So what do you think? Given all this stuff. Is she not a producer on these films? She doesn't get like a listing as a producer because she runs the company? I guess I'm sure she does. I'm sure she's considered a producer. I'm sure she's considered an executive producer.
Exactly.
But the fact that she's included on these future films, when all these rumors are that her contract's about up and she's going to walk, makes you think, okay, what does that mean exactly? Is she literally just going to be a producer on the film and she's going to leave Lucasfilm in general? So what are your thoughts here? Is it is this going to bleed over? Is the Obaid Chinoy film now going to be absorbed into this Kinberg trilogy? Is that all going to be kind of one thing? Because all of a sudden, Ray is going to be in like fucking 4 different movies.
Right. Well, what is the speculation is there's all these movies in the works, and it's really whatever one gets out first will kind of steer what happens afterwards, like how their movies relate to this one or not, or how big her character will be. I personally, well, she made the mention of when in a recent interview about her movie, but she said or movies or something, which was like,
Yes.
oh, so she might be involved in more. And her excitement level seems to be the fact that like with her saying that all of this stuff happens, like I think for a while she was like, I haven't read the script yet. I'm not really in the know. I'm pretty excited. I think someone sat her down and like, this is all the stuff we're working on. These are the things, like you're going to be a part of all this. And because why else is she going to fucking just like stick around, right? So this is like fucking factory. We're just throwing shit away left and right. And
Right.
as an actress or somebody who's like, okay, what am I here for? Like you guys can't make up your goddamn mind. So
Yeah.
I think it's some of that. And I think him coming in, because they said that there was a writer that was hired right after Night, and this guy's involved. I'm guessing because he's not a good director, but he's been involved in some really good projects. Like he ended up fucking murdering the X-Men movies, but after what 12 of them, they're gonna kind of go downhill anyways. But I mean,
Sure.
he was part of Days of Future Past. I think that's when he came in, was the First Class, Days of Future Past. Apocalypse was I thought shit, and then Dark Phoenix.
Okay.
But he's also been involved. Oh shit! What else has he done? I mean, he's done a bunch of stuff. So like as a guy who can do like franchises and get in there and see like the big picture thing, I think this is the right guy. I think this cancels out the Ray movie though.
The Obaid Chinoy one.
Yeah, or that stuff gets absorbed or reworked, and it's the first movie of this trilogy, right?
Yeah.
And she stays on as director. I don't know, but like we just saw, was it today? They moved the date. Now I'm guessing it's just not coming out Christmas of 26 now.
Well, they completely removed the date. It wasn't that they moved
Yeah.
it; they removed the date.
It's gone. They filled it with Ice Age 6. So,
Yeah, right, exactly.
so yeah, that's gone. I think they're trying to take like all of the stuff they want to do, and now that he's here and he sees it all, he's like, okay, let's get this down into something. And as far as it being like the 10, 11, and 12.
Yeah.
I mean, Disney have they ever come out and said the other ones were, they'll say that's a Skywalker thing, but it's not episode 7, 8, 9, is it? Like it doesn't open up with that. It just says like, we all call it that, right?
No, they call it episode 7, 8, 9.
Is it on the poster? Wasn't there a big argument like at first? And like, why isn't it called that?
Oh, I thought
you could be right. I might be pulling from a different thing here.
I thought it did.
I'm gonna look.
And then when you go into when you went into the Rise of Skywalker, it was being billed as this is the end of the saga.
Yes,
So that's why,
yes.
okay, is this really going to be 10, 11, 12, or is this just, hey, this is obviously the same rough storyline because you're taking Rey from the previous sequel trilogy and going forward, but maybe it's not necessarily episodes 10, 11, 12. It's just a brand new trilogy that happens to be a thing on its own.
Right.
It just follows after.
Yeah, like if you look at the poster, there's no episode 7.
Yes, but what does it say on the crawl?
I don't think there is
Look up
one on the crawl either.
Force Awakens crawl and see if it says
All right.
episode 7. I'm pretty sure it does, but I could be wrong. I have been wrong many, many times before.
Nope. Yeah, it says episode 7.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. So, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do 10 through 12.
60% people.
we disagree with each other. But yeah, the removing that date makes a lot of sense. Because how would you even pull that shit together in time? I don't think you could. It's just too much. It's too. All these things are like, yes, figure it out. We're privy to stuff that in 20 years ago we weren't. We wouldn't even know this stuff is going on. But because we get all this news and updates, we're like, oh my God, it's a hot mess. It's a freaking shit show and all this stuff.
But this stuff happens all the time, especially with
It does.
franchise stuff, IP. Like, yeah, this is.
Yeah, and figure it out. Like, figure it out and make it right. And I think having somebody write the entire trilogy, what a novel concept. Great idea. Great idea. Because obviously we've seen how it goes otherwise. But it made me think also about there's that Sean Levy project. He wants to use Rey. And so all of a sudden, Rey is like the it girl of Star Wars. Not that she wasn't before. It almost seems like she is the bankable thing from Star Wars that everybody wants to focus on. Everybody wants a piece of her for their project. This led into this Hollywood Reporter article that you shared with me that talks about like how that's going to work for future projects and how important and integral Rey is going to be to all of those things. And there were some interesting bits in that article. One was they were talking about different sources, so who knows who these people are, but one said that the first trilogy of Star Wars is treated as the Old Testament. And it says, and one source said, you're being asked to create the New Testament and no one can agree on anything, and there's a lot of second guessing about meanings. So that checks out.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But the other one, and this burns, says, this is another source, says Star Wars is a nostalgia-based enterprise and they are running out of ways to create nostalgia. Brutal quote. And so that created a big spark on arguments online about people just saying, like, create new stories. Stop trying to rely on the original trilogy's nostalgia to drive your show.
Yeah, but when you got like half the fucking internet bitching because like they're not getting that original, right? Like you've got people bitching they like the Rey stuff in the Finn. They want to move forward. And then there's another group that's like, stay with what George Lucas created. And Disney's like, what the fuck do you people want? Because at the end of the day, they're a business more than they're looking at making art, where then they've got the writers and directors and everything are like, well, this will fucking work. And then they're fighting because of the business thing. Like, I'm curious as to like, how are they going to lure a director in? Like J.J. Abrams quit fucking filmmaking. Everybody is taking an ass whooping after making a Star Wars movie, right?
Yeah.
And now this guy's like, yeah, I'm going to come in and design a trilogy. And who's he going to hire? Everyone's going to be like, yeah, that's what I want. Fucking Alan Smithy is going to be the director of all three of the next ones.
Well, that's why it'll be very, very interesting to see how the Mando Grogu film is received. Because, I mean, it's a known property in a sense,
right.
And, Favreau's a known, quantity, but I'm interested to see if it's just another shit on him kind of situation like it has been for the last sequel trilogy. Obviously, Solo got mixed reviews, but we loved it. But Rogue One, yeah. I mean, Tony Gilroy is the fucking golden child of all this. Like, because of all the stuff he's done, it's just worked out really well. No offense to Gareth Edwards, because he built a huge part of that movie too. But so many people, like you said, are just getting dumped for everything that they do.
Yeah.
So, what's the motivation to make your show unless you give two fucks about what people say? That's why I always thought Taika Waititi would make a movie, because he doesn't give a shit. You need people like that who kind of don't care and they're doing it for the art. Right.
Get Ridley Scott in there. Ridley Scott doesn't give a fuck.
There you go. I mean, I just hope that there is at least like a through line and that somebody is organized enough to put these stories together so they make sense. I think going forward, you have to create new stories. People do this thing all the time where they say, this doesn't feel like Star Wars. What the fuck are you talking about? Whenever I see some of these shows and people are like, this doesn't feel like Star Wars, I'm like, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean it has to be exactly like the first 6 movies? Or it's not Star Wars? That's the part where I get
And why do you want that? Then you're just fucking remanufacturing something. And
then you get pissed about that. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's probably why The Force Awakens is the most well-received of the 3 movies, is because it was kind of a carbon copy of A New Hope. So it
was like nostalgic. Like, I mean, you went into that movie just like every moment is like, oh, this is home. This is fucking Chewie. We're home, for Christ's sakes. It was like the selling line.
Yeah, and JJ knew how to kind of nail that feel, I think. But and so then Rian Johnson does his thing, and granted, we had some issues with that film, but he kind of tried to deviate a little bit, and that's where everybody started to turn on it. I don't know. We will see, but I mean, fuck, we got a long time before any of this shit comes out. So,
you think we'll still be a podcast?
Good question. I don't know. That depends on our listeners.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but we are a couple of weeks away now, Jay, from a new series, from new Star Wars, which we're always excited about. Brand new Star Wars. Yes, there's going to be some characters we know, maybe just a couple, but for the most part, it's pretty new. I assume, that a lot of people are skeptical because they just think, this looks like Star Wars for little children, like for kids.
Yeah.
As people like to point out, the rule George Lucas always says, Star Wars is for kids, even though us adults spend a lot of time talking about it.
Yes. Also, like, when you've got a franchise like this, you've got to bring in new viewers, right? This is a perfect type of show, but Disney needs to know, like, oh, we're not going to have the numbers that Mandalorian had or something, right? Because they're going for a different audience. Now, as long as it gets more viewers and it's a better show than the one that will not be named, Resistance, I'm all for this.
Some people might have thought you were talking about The Acolyte.
Oh, no. You know what? I've come around a lot on that show.
Oh no, I still enjoy the show. I thought there were a lot of really cool stuff in it. But yes, you're right. I think look, the one thing I think of when I've looked at these trailers and everything I've read about this show and everything I've seen about this show is, as a wise man once recently said, Star Wars is supposed to be fun. That's Donald Glover.
Yeah.
And this looks like a fucking fun show.
It does.
And it's absolutely grabbing onto the whole 80s vibe, Goonies vibe, etc.
Well, speak of a nostalgia, right? Like that's perfect for like an adult to sit down. We're going to recognize the Spielberg vibe, right?
So
we're going to sit with our
both.
kids, but yes, exactly.
It's the Pixar model. Something for the adults, something for the kids, you know? It's kind of that model. Which I think is a good idea, and it was a good idea. I mean, I do like the fact that they go in and pitch the project to Kathleen Kennedy, and they're like, we want to make a Goonies style show in Star Wars. She's like, well, I produced Goonies. It's a great idea. She's totally on board right away. Remember that great movie you made? Yes, we want to be like that.
I showed the trailer to my son the other day because he's been so hard to get into Star Wars. And he was just like, oh, I go, do you want to watch this? He goes, yeah, this is awesome. There's a lot of kids in this one. So like perfect right there.
On the flip side, the consultant, like, I don't know, I'm not sure about this.
Really? Because he's already involved. Yeah.
He's there. Yeah, I think that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
He's, he really like the thing that ingrained in him, like his fandom was the Clone Wars animated show. Like he watched the fuck out of that. And he got into all the lore and stuff. So when I show him these trailers, I'm like, looks pretty cool, right? And he's like, I don't know, man. My younger son's on board, but my older son's like, I don't know, I'm not sure about that. The consultant just went on Star Wars Theories show and was, no, I'm just kidding.
I was like, he did what?
I was kidding. Clearly, the show is not going to be like an Andor prequel or anything. It's not like it's going to be like heavy dark, but it's also not going to be like that kids Jedi Tales animated show. It's going to be exactly what we got from those 80s movies. Lighthearted, kind of goofy, but with an element of danger always kind of present, and I think that works. Right. So before we get into the story itself and the characters and all that stuff, let's talk about the creatives a little bit. So John Watts, Christopher Ford, co-creators, they've, worked on the Spider-Man trilogy and all that. They also worked on Grant's favorite, Cop Car. Is that what it's called? Yep. Remember that show?
It was, he did Cop Car, he did Clown, I think. And then he did the Spider-Man movies, and then Wolf's just came out with Brad Pitt and George Clooney.
Oh, right. That has come out?
Yeah, it's on Apple.
Have you seen it yet?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a great fucking, oh my God, this movie blows me away, but it's got a fun premise, and Clooney and Brad Pitt, people could just go in and you could write the worst script in the world and they make a good movie out of it. So like it's fun to watch these two. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, it was funny because when I saw the Cop Car thing, I thought, well, Grant always talked about how he liked that movie. So I was like, is Grant going to actually watch this show? Have you asked him? Is he going to watch?
I'll have to ask him if he's going to. Yeah. I think he's going to want a little bit more Kevin Bacon violence, though.
Yeah, right. What, didn't he like Andor? He liked Andor, yeah?
I don't remember.
I know he liked Mando.
I don't remember.
He liked Mando, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if he's watched everything through, just a little bit.
Okay. But, the point being, Watts and Ford have this history of making, like, fun films,
Yes.
And so I think that's why they're perfect for this series. There's a quote from Christopher Ford. He said, talking to Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni about the way to approach trying to write in Star Wars, they advised me, tap into something that you love. You can't just do Star Wars, because then you're kind of aping it. You're trying to do what George Lucas did, and he was trying to make Flash Gordon or a Kurosawa movie. I like the fact that he took that advice and went with it. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, make it your own. Don't try to do what was already done. I think that's a very important thing. I think that's what Favreau has definitely tried to do, because he certainly borrows stuff from the past. He knows how to pull at those strings.
If you look at Andor, I think that's what works so well. Tony Gilroy is like, I'm going to make this like kick-ass political, like espionage type story. And then other people were like, okay, this is how we put it into the Star Wars realm.
Yeah.
And then, they tinkered and tooled with it, but like that's how it works so well, I think. So I think that's great advice.
Going from that direction instead of, okay, we have all these Star Wars elements, now let's try to come up with some sort of story about it, versus I have a great story. Right. Let's just work it into what exists in Star Wars. I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
The directors, our buddy Bryce Dallas Howard is going to do at least one episode. We've always kind of said it, we kind of think she gets Star Wars pretty well. So
she does.
Totally trust her there. I mean, we forgive her for the Jack Black episode of Mandalorian. We let that go.
We do. If she wins us completely back with the Skeleton Crew episode, I say we nominate her for the director of the first movie that comes out.
They need to let her direct one of these movies. They absolutely need to.
Yeah, I think she's ready. She's been through long enough film school, Lucasfilm film school. I
think so. Lee Isaac Chung, he's the one who did that episode of The Mandalorian with Dr. Pershing and Elia Kane on Coruscant, which a lot of people kind of thought that was a weird one-off episode that didn't really jive well. We didn't really see The Mandalorian in it. I really liked that episode.
It was a great episode.
It did exactly what we're going to see in this show, which is it put the everyday life of Star Wars on display, like them walking around Coruscant and all that stuff. That's what we're going to see in this show with suburbia and all that, you know? So I'm all for it.
He was the director of the Twisters movie that was just out, right?
Oh, did he do that one?
I think so. Yeah.
You might be right. Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert are going to direct. Those are the guys who dominated the Oscars 2 years ago with Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yep.
So they've got major cred. They also did Swiss Army Man. Do you remember that movie?
Oh my God, Daniel Radcliffe, where he's the dead body.
Yes, yeah. I didn't see it. I just saw the ads. It looked hilarious.
It's who's the other guy? The guy that was alive.
Not Paul.
It's the guy that played the Riddler. Paul Dano.
Paul Dano. Yeah. When I saw that concept, I was like, what? That's incredible. That is a move Daniel Radcliffe made of like, I'm not Harry Potter anymore, okay?
Yeah. Well, it's also like, I've got Harry Potter money. I'll just fucking play this dead guy for a whole movie. You know, right, why not? Let's give this a go.
By the way, interestingly enough, the two Daniels, they also did the video for Turn Down for What by Lil Jon. Have you seen that video? It's a great video.
I'm sure I have.
It's a very mesmerizing video of like stuff starts at the top of like an apartment complex and they keep dropping a floor and a floor.
Okay.
It's actually really well done if you ever get the chance. Then John Watts is also, of course, directing some of the episodes. And then the other two,
he's doing
Jake
3, I think.
Is he? Okay. Jake Schreier and then David Lowery is also, and I don't know anything about either of those two. Do you know them at all?
David Lowery did the Green, what was the King Arthur type movie?
Oh, The Green Knight?
Yeah, I think that was David Lowery. And I think there was like the Pete's Dragon, or whatever, the remake that came out, or
So he knows fantasy.
Yeah, it's fantasy and he does like dark shit. So
nice.
If that's who I'm thinking of. I've never seen any of his films actually, but I know the name.
And do you know Jake Schreier? I don't know Jake Schreier.
Jake Schreier. Oh, shit. He directed the Thunderbolts that's coming out. He did Paper Towns.
Okay.
Whatever the fuck Robot and Frank is. But yeah, so it looks like he did some indie movies and then started doing some big stuff.
Nice.
I mean, Thunderbolts that looks like a huge fucking movie coming out. So yeah.
So a pretty good crop of directors. Pretty excited about that. And it was also announced that Mick Giacchino, is how you say his name, I think, is doing the music. He's the son of Michael, who did the Rogue One music. So it,
yes,
it all works well together.
Yep.
Getting into the show, we know the premise, essentially 4 kids in Star Wars suburbia. What planet exactly? We'll get into that in a minute.
We don't know.
The 4 kids are kind of a fun mix. It's not unfamiliar character types. Wim seems like kind of the main character. He's almost like the Mikey character from Goonies a little bit.
Yeah, the dreamer.
The dreamer. He's a bit bored. He's very whimsical. Nice name. And he's just like, he's kind of dreaming of some adventure, clearly. And then his best mate is Neil, who is not an Ortolan, as we've been told. Ortolan adjacent, I guess you could say.
Okay.
And he seems kind of like the nerdy, kind of bashful, slightly nervous buddy of Wim. So that'll be fun to watch them. Wim's going to kind of drag him along in these adventures. Then you've got the other 2 besties, who are Fern, who she seems like kind of this tough, street smart gal, and she's
street smart in suburbia.
Yes, exactly. Well, you know what I mean. She's kind of the rough one.
Yeah. She's like the girl in the 80s movies that like goes to school in like her prep outfit and she gets to the bathroom and lights a cigarette and takes off her clothes and she's got like the punk clothes underneath.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And ultra confident, very comfortable in who she is, and kind of fuck you to the rest of the system kind of person.
Yep.
That's how it seems anyway. She plays by her own rules, Jay.
Right. Of course she does.
She's also wearing that pilot's leather jacket thing, which I guess some have speculated has some sort of ties to Dak from Empire Strikes Back, the guy who got fried in the back of. He was the Rio for Luke in the speeders when they battle the walkers.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, I can't remember what the story. I think it's something that was on Dak's uniform is on her jacket. So they're like, "Oh, is this Dak's daughter?"
Oh, so she inherited her dead dad's shit.
Exactly. So maybe that's part of what her vibe is. She's like, my dad got killed when I was tiny, and I'm just
I'm moody because my dad's dead.
Right. And then her buddy is KB, who kind of appears to be like the super technical. It's almost like she's got the Google Glass, thing on.
She's the hacker.
Exactly. Right? Total techie role there. Please don't fall from a train car. Please don't fall from a train car. So outside of the kids, we've got, this name is going to be tough to get through. Jod Na Nawood. I mean, that is it sounds like you're stuttering. Jod Na Nawood.
Oh, that's Jude Law?
That's Jude Law, yeah.
Okay.
Na Nawood. He is a bit of a mystery, and he's kind of trying to make it sound that way in his interviews because it's like, seems like he's force sensitive.
Right.
Was he a Jedi? Probably not, maybe.
Yeah.
What are his motivations? Because it seems like he's probably out for himself and using the kids, and we'll kind of get into that in a minute.
I mean, real quick, to us, it's been done before, right? With Kanan, where, he's out hiding, he's on the run. Like, so for us, like, well, they've done that before. But for a lot of viewers, this would be the first. Well, I guess it's kind of hitting the same crowd, just live action instead of animated. But I kind of hope that he is
a Jedi.
Yeah.
It's possible. I think if anything, he's like maybe a Jedi washout or something. Like I don't know that he was a full blown Jedi, or if he just had force sensitivity.
Like he never made it,
or kind of used his skills for other things and didn't really embrace the Jedi Order. But like, I got the fucking Force. I can do some shit here and make some money.
Okay. So he's tuned to it enough to be he's tuned into it enough to use it, just not. He was never trained, is what you're thinking.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Then you've got Nick Frost, who I love. Is the voice of SM-33, the first mate of the ship they end up, which is called the Onyx Cinder. And boy, he's really leaning into the pirate thing. That voice.
Mm-hmm.
Shiver me timbers. He's basically saying that.
Arr, matey.
You've got the parents who are going to be working on getting the kids back. So there's Wim's dad, Wendell, played by, I'm going to say his name wrong and I apologize, Tunde Adebimpe. And he's been in a bunch of stuff.
I think you did great.
Thank you. He's been in a ton of shit, movies and films and stuff. Movies and films. Good, Matt. And TV shows. But what I always think of him as is he's the lead singer for TV on the Radio. I don't know if you know that band. Great band. But he was the lead singer for that band.
No. And I'm looking at his, I don't recognize anything he's been in.
He was in, wasn't he in, was it Twisters he was in? Or he was in something recently.
Yep. Yeah, it shows that he was in Twisters. I don't recognize him though. But I mean, he's been Rachel Getting Married, The Invisible, Never Back Down. So he's definitely he's been acting for quite a while.
Yeah, he has. So, and folks, if you don't know TV on the Radio, go check him out. Carrie Condon is Fern's mom, Farah, and she's Irish. She's been in a lot of those Irish films. She was in that one with Colin Farrell and what's his butt. They just did the.
He's like, don't talk to me.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, what the hell is the name of that movie?
Something Inisherin. The Banshees of Inisherin? No, the something of Inisherin. I don't know. People are yelling at their.
The Banshee of Inisherin. Yeah. Banshees of Inisherin.
Nailed it. I'm sure we're going to get introduced to a bunch of other fun characters. The rest of the cast list is really all just kind of the pirates. So, that Vane dude who we saw in The Mandalorian. Gunter is the guy who is Urkel, who is Jaleel White. His name is Gunter. Wasn't that the name of the guy who liked Rachel and Friends? Wasn't that Gunter?
The guy that ran the coffee. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, wasn't that his name? Yeah. Now, I've heard rumors that this show, although it's in the same timeline as the Mandoverse, it might actually be before season 3 of The Mandalorian. So we might see Pizza the Hutt himself show up. Remember that guy?
Well, I mean, it would have to be, right? Because a lot of them are dead.
Well, a lot of them are dead, but none of the ones we saw. Vane got away. He's the one who got away, and he's the only pirate that we really recognize from there. But I'm wondering if it's Gorian Shart. It's not Shart.
Yes.
But I'm wondering if that guy shows up. Well, let's go through the trailers, which, we talked about before the show. You hadn't watched them recently, but you've seen them many times. So that first one that came out in August, the kind of the big stuff from this trailer is, they're obviously in some sort of suburbia. Clearly, Wim is bored as shit. And despite the fact that you can walk down the street and an Ithorian is walking a dog. How could you be bored with that? That's great.
Man, you got something to look at every day.
But they're in some sort of school that's testing them to kind of see what they're going to pursue, I guess, in their studies and what they're going to want to be when they grow up, essentially. And he's real nervous about that. But he's talking about finds something in the woods. He thinks it's a lost Jedi temple. This is totally in line with his dreamer. I want to go on an adventure. Yes. I read stories about Jedi kind of thing. he immediately thinks it's a Jedi temple.
Well, in the first trailer, it's him, isn't it him looking at like his iPad thing?
Yes.
And it's showing like the Jedi fighting a monster or something.
Yep. So he's definitely into that. They show a sequence of images like with them like hurtling down a water slide / hydro tube, straight Goonies right there.
Yep.
They also show them encountering all this pirate shit and then this, the ship, and they essentially accidentally kick it into gear and it takes off. They show a bunch of other stuff just from all the different people they're going to encounter, the pirates, etc. And then it ends, of course, with them in a jail cell, and that's when you see the key slowly move over through the air, and they think, oh, it's Jude Law, and he must be a Jedi. And he's, kind of looking, we're all like, yeah, look at me.
Gives like a little smirk.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's the nuts and bolts of trailer 1. Trailer 2 is way different. It starts out with it's such an 80s vibe. It starts out with essentially, well, first you hear
the music.
You hear the beginning riff of Major Tom by Peter Schilling.
Mm-hmm.
That starts to ramp up. And then we get the full-on Ferris Bueller scene where they're at the jail, at the police station, where it's like, what are you in for? What are you in for? Kind of thing. And it's Wim and Fern talking to each other. Wim's talking about finding something in the woods. And then that's when his dad, Wendell, walks in and is like accosting him, essentially, basically like, I'm very disappointed in you. Then we see the kids stumble into the woods and find the controls of the ship, and it shows it taking off. It does show it taking off and Wim's dad like screaming at him. I don't know if that's all the same scene or if that's meant to be later.
Right. Almost like he finds the kids just as, the ship gets unearthed and they fly away, right?
It seems that way. And then they get thrown into hyperspace and they kind of start to realize, what they've done. And they see that we see that the SM-33 droid has already been enabled. That's Nick Frost's character.
Yep. Now, is this ship, do you think like it's, once it's activated and turned on, it's almost like it's already got a location preset, like it's returning back to somewhere?
That's what I was wondering.
Like they don't know where the fuck they're going, right? They just all of a sudden they park at this way station on this asteroid and they all hop out. Like business is going on and they're like just 4 kids hopping out. It's got to be a little weird, right?
It could be
like
something that was... Yeah, that's absolutely weird. And I think everybody's going to freak out about it, be like, what the hell? But was it pre-programmed, or did they just like hit a bunch of fucking buttons and the Navicomputer was just like, and go, I don't know.
Right.
Or did the droid somehow help them, pick a spot?
Like the TomTom was never deleted, so they just hit one of the old destinations.
That's right.
The ship takes them there.
Because it seems like that ship is going to draw a lot of attention. People are going to be like, what the fuck is this? Right. And it gets into a question of when did this ship exist? How old is this ship? Is it centuries old? Is it 1,000 years old? Is it because once they get to that whatever you want to call it, that pirate hangout,
where they're getting dinner and they have the old credits?
Yes. So they say what?
How old are these credits? How old are these Republic credits?
The old Republic is 1,000 to 2,500 BBY. It's way the fuck long ago.
Right.
So that makes you think they got it off that ship. It's either that, or does their home life in suburbia, which, by the way, they say that nobody knows their planet they're from.
Still living off of that.
Are they still living off of that? That's where it becomes a question mark. And then it gets into the whole question of where the fuck are they and when are they and all that kind of stuff. Let me just finish up with the trailer and then we'll kind of get into that.
Okay.
Oh, so yeah, so they get to this pirate station. Clearly Fern is trying to be like, let's keep our heads about us and just fucking figure out how to get the hell out of here. And of course, Wim sits down to eat. And she's probably like, dude.
Yeah.
That's where the credits thing gets discovered. And that's when we see Jude Law's character come in. Jod Na Nawood. And he kind of has like a Strider vibe from the first Lord of the Rings, where he's like, okay, these kids are in trouble. I'm going to help them. I'm this mysterious character off to the side working on by myself. But he doesn't have I don't think he's got the best of intentions in mind. I think he's like, I can use these kids and they've got this cool ship and I'm going to
They've got a ship and I need to get the hell out of here. So I think I take it as. Yeah.
I think you're right. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to figure out what exactly his motivations are. Is it just him trying to get off that planet, or is he going to see this as a bigger opportunity for himself? And then at some point, is it going to be like eventually they're going to win him over and he's going to have that moment of like, oh, I fucking should do the right thing. Like one of those kind of moments. Because he tells them, I'll get you home, but we got to form a partnership. That's what he says. And then you get that funny exchange where he tells Neil, you take the controls. Neil like has this long pause and goes, okay.
I never get controller 1.
So then you get this shot of him talking about there's a crew of pirates coming after you. I'm not sure if he's talking to them or talking to somebody else. That's when we see Urkel and his mates in pursuit.
Yep.
And why are they in pursuit? Is it just hey, this is an easy pickup? Are they after the ship in general? Is this something like specific about the ship that they were trying to get?
I mean, it seems like too much luck for it just to be the ship, right? Like they show up and the pirates hear about this. They want after the ship because of the Old Republic credits. Yeah, I think you're right. Like that's probably like their currency on that planet that no one's aware of, right? But there's also, because there's something going on with the way like this planet kind of seems to be grooming all these people. Right, like what is your specialty? Yeah. What are you going into? And they, for a planet that no one knows exists, they're all dressed really fucking good, like in good Republic garb and all this, or you know. So yeah, I think there's a something. And don't the parents say something in one of the trailers about we have to be careful, or we can't let others know we're looking for them, or something like?
I thought they just said that they're not coming back. We got to go get them.
Okay, maybe
I don't remember anything about that, but it's an interesting idea you pose. Is yes. Why does nobody know their planet? Why is it like hidden or secretive? What are they trying to breed these kids or whatever, raise them to do? And because then other people thought, okay, well, are they from another galaxy? Are they from that area that Ahsoka went to? Are they from a completely different place? Right. I thought about that. I don't think that's what it is, you know, because you just randomly get on a ship and it takes you to the known galaxy. That's not really, that's not really how it worked before. And
they don't got no damn Purgles to freaking go back and forth.
They don't have the Purgles. Yeah.
Right.
So because it takes that extra jump. You need that big fucking fat ring to get you there.
Right. Yeah. And then we don't see no fat ring. But to go to Jude Law's character, I think the pirates are chasing him, and they become aware that he gets on the ship with the kids. So then it becomes like this hot pursuit thing where I think he's dealing with more than the pirates, right? Because where he's screaming about something that looks like they're like, I'm guessing he takes the kids somewhere originally for him to get what he needs first, right? And then they're in trouble, and he's like, well, I gotta fucking do something with these goddamn kids, and probably still got to get himself out of trouble, and then it all leads to this treasure thing. So
no, that all sounds right. Because in the end we see some weird like treasure room that they go to, which is like, okay, what the fuck is this? You get this funny like quote from SM33 where he's like, you know, be warned of booby traps and pirates and mountains where no one should dare to go and all this stuff. And by the way, it was kind of funny. They show that shot when he says mountains where no one should dare to go. There's a shot also where they're coming up like I think it's over like a sand dune. And then you see this whole like base of operations. And it totally reminded me of Close Encounters. It reminded me of like when they come upon that place where they're all waiting for the aliens by Devil's Tower. Kind of had that same vibe.
Right. Yeah.
So again, you know, old nostalgic vibes. You see that shot of Urkel's crew seemingly not happy because a bunch of X-Wings are flying in.
Yeah, they're getting circled.
We going to see Teva? You know? And then you see some message that Fern's mom sends to them, a hollow message. Like, if you hear this, don't give up no matter what.
Right.
As far as the Onyx Cinder is the thing I was wondering the most about. Is like, what the fuck is up with this ship? How is it from the Old Republic era? And how does it end up on that planet?
Well, how does it end up on the planet and buried? Like what? Yeah, what's its whole? And where's the crew? Other than, well, I guess they find the skeleton with a knife in his head. Like, you know. So were they attacked at some point? None of them survived, and the robot crash landed the thing. And then he's stuck there, and so they're just kind of all there until they're found again. Yeah. But to go back a minute, if no one knows about these people on this planet, right? How is Mom sending a hologram out to, you know, the emergency call system?
Maybe some people do. Maybe only certain people know about it. I don't know. That could be. But yeah, I don't think I ever thought about it from the standpoint of they're like creating this whatever for the Republic in hidden space that you were talking about. I didn't think of it as being like, that's what I didn't think about the fact of what they're actually like trying to raise these kids to do. That's a really interesting concept. Right. We're going to get 2 episodes. So I have a feeling we're going to get a decent idea of what's happening, you know, in those first 2, as far as at least kind of, we're going to get like a nod toward what they're doing. But yeah, like what are you doing with these kids? You're just trying to make the future of the New Republic?
Well, I mean, it looks almost like Utopia, right? It's just like this really fucking beautiful place where like the education system works.
So this is the model.
Got good transportation. What's that?
This is the model. They're like, we've built this model community,
right?
And this is the way we should build all of them. This is what everybody should follow when they're going to be in the New Republic.
It's like in the 60s. It's in the 60s where Russia started just popping up towns and nuclear power plants and like, oh, this is the way of society. And then, you know, everything's falling apart. Nuclear. Right. That's what this is. Yeah. Except for this one worked.
It's the Pleasantville of Star Wars.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Cameos. Do we see Hondo and Naka? How do you not show Hondo and Naka in a pirate series? We've been waiting for it.
Okay, here's the thing. You're going to see him if we're in our galaxy, right? And I would imagine that fucker's still tooling around. You're right. And if you're seeing pirates, like, he's got to come into play some way. But that's almost like, how do you wedge him in? Because I really don't think we're going to have a lot of cameos. I mean, he would be the perfect one to get in. He would make sense. But there would be a lot of explanation almost as to why, who he is, what he is, why he is. Like, you almost have to have a relation with someone already.
Well, maybe it's planting the seed for him to show up somewhere else in another series
later
by just giving a taste of him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because they love to do that shit. And more on that in a minute, by the way. I don't think you're going to see anybody else from like Mandalorian or Ahsoka or Boba Fett other than the pirates, right? Or do you think anybody else is going to show up like that? I don't think so.
No, I don't.
I was thinking like any video game characters, KVS, anybody like that going to show up?
Well, I mean, I heard the last 2 episodes is just Boba Fett.
It's a makeup for his episodes where he didn't.
Yep. He gets his own 2 episodes.
Sorry.
He shows up as the Mando badass in the last 2 episodes.
They're like, but here's the deal. You have to go around doing like cons and stuff and act like you're pissed and disgruntled about the fact that you have not been invited back to do a project because this is the way
we really fooled you guys. You never.
Will we see anybody start to emerge that we're going to see later in this sequel trilogy? That was the only other thing I thought. You know, if we're talking New Republic stuff and everything, like, are we going to get any glimpse of anybody else that we're going to eventually see as part of that?
Well, we're
still like 20 years away.
Right. So this timeline, Kylo's born, Rey is not.
Kylo's little.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing. If we see anybody that ends up in those movies, I think it's because the character works in this. I don't think they've gone as far as, especially when the idea of this was kind of be a standalone. It exists on its own, right?
I think so. This seems like a series that is a one and done. It's not like they're going to make a future second season for it or anything.
Well, if anything, the one or all 4 of these kids could show up in something again.
Yeah,
older.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely like to do that. Introduce a character, see how the numbers look for that character.
Right.
And then move on from there. You know who we could see who would be great? Maz Kanata. Hey, you ever gonna fucking use her again?
Yeah. True.
She's been around forever.
And if these fuckers are bouncing around from planet to planet trying to find home, like, you show up at the castle. Why not?
I'm just saying, man. She is a highly underused character. I'm not happy about it. Do they make it home or does everybody die like in Rogue One?
Ooh. They make it home and then they don't know that there's a bomb on their ship and everyone dies.
The entire Utopia gets blown up because they brought it back.
Yeah. Yep, I think so.
Oh, man, that would be a very dark ending to that. Kids show? I think not. On that front about, like, you know, this being its own show and maybe not doing another season or anything else, there was a hot rumor a few months ago. I don't know if you remember this, a couple months ago, that there was a show that appeared on that Production Weekly site called Pirates. That was a Star Wars show. And then some speculated this was going to be a spinoff of Skeleton Crew. And some even went further as to say Jod Law's character, Jod Na Nawood, is going to be the main character in the new show.
Of that show, yeah.
Do you think that there's any possibility that happens? Or do you think they're going to wait and see how it's received?
I think both are true. I think there could be like gearing up for some production or working on things. And then it's going to be... The problem is they changed their mind so many times. It could have been something they were going to, and then they decide, well, let's see if this show has viewers before we move on, right? The same with Acolyte. They were like, well, we'll wait until... But at one point, I think we thought like there was a second season coming. Like that's the thing is like Kathleen Kennedy, she might have multiple personalities. Because there's so many fucking things that are announced and changed and then or moved around or we've changed our idea, we're doing this. So I really think like I'm not sure how that got out there, but it would make sense to... I think they could probably do a sequel to this show if it works off with the kids, right? And not have to have Jod Na Nawood, right?
Right.
But he seems like he could be a real fun, interesting character. And if Mandalorian is going into the movies and Ahsoka is getting a second season and that's supposed to be going to the movies, doesn't Disney Plus still want to maintain some type of presence on their
yes
on their
I think they said they
wanted
to do one live action series a year.
Yeah, and so that could be it.
Ahsoka, so Andor 2025, Ahsoka season 2 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you looking to build something for 2027? I mean, that's far out. I don't know. That's pretty far
Right,
out. But
right.
but Jude Law. I mean, you could build a show around Jude Law 100%.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
I heard he's Kenobi's son.
okay, I like it. That's
You
a
heard
fun
it here
rumor.
first.
That's a fun
Yeah.
rumor. Jay, breaking news. Kenobi's son. He's supposed to have one somewhere out there. I mean, well, there was always the rumor that it was what's her face.
Oh,
kid,
could you imagine he was that
Corky.
little shithead? Right? Yeah.
Yeah, Corky. I think that was all I had. Unless you had anything else, just looking forward to the show. I mean, it's always exciting to get a
I am
brand
too.
new show. You know, to get something
Mhm.
new, and this looks so fun. I'm excited. I
Right.
think it's gonna be much better received than the Acolyte. Let's just say that.
And I don't have a lot of I'm not going into it with I need this out of it. Like, I'm really looking forward to the fact that I sat down with Carter and he watched the trailer and he wants to watch it. So to me, it's going to be fun to sit down and just experience this with him.
And there's going to be some goofy bits, and that should be the way it is.
Mhm.
It's fine. You know, there's going to be a little bit of
Right.
campy stuff in there, and that's
Well,
great. What?
Yeah. As long as fucking Bugs Bunny ain't running around this damn show.
He's not going to show. Oh my God, if he showed up, he wouldn't be alive yet, I don't think. So we're good. We're safe. Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, and I mentioned earlier the giveaway. So we're going to do something similar to what we did for the Acolyte, which is, do some figures that we'll give away. We'll just give away 3 people can win and all that stuff. So if you want to be involved in that giveaway, all you got to do is respond to our question of the week on any of those social media outlets. Also, you can email the show. You get entries
And
for
listen.
that. Yes, listen. You get send us a voicemail. You get some bonus entries. If you write a review for the show on your podcast app, that gets you some entries. All those things get you entries.
Right.
And we haven't had. We actually Albert gave us a review recently, but we could like to get a few more reviews out there if you don't mind. It takes you just a couple minutes.
Right.
And it means the world
If
to
you've
us.
got good thoughts in your brain about this show, you should share them.
Yeah, we'd appreciate it.
Easy.
You know?
If you're you know what? Fuck this show. Well, just keep listening, but stay quiet.
Then just give us a 3-star. That's always my favorite, when people give like a 2 or a 3-star.
Right.
It was okay. Nobody ever does that. It's always a 1 or a 5.
Subject line, Kenobi's son.
There you go.
There we go.
All right. Maul Bag. One email. This is from a little bit ago. Brown Leader, Hyperspace Hero, says, "Hello there, boyos. Welcome back. I hope you had a great rest as we ramp up for what will be the most epic Star Wars streaming series yet. Some minor spoilers to consider as you prep for your preview show." Well, I should have showed you this before we prepped.
I guess so, yeah.
These are some fun predictions. Number 1, Mando and Grogu will appear in episode 5 and be the whole story arc for that episode. There you go.
Okay.
Number 2, episodes 2 and 7 will be flashback episodes detailing how the New Republic is rotting already on the inside and be the obligatory tie-ins to the sequels. It'll be the same episode, just told from slightly different camera angles. Oh,
yeah. Hey, you know what? Maybe the event of this show, the result of this series, is what becomes the catalyst to get Mando and Grogu off the fucking front porch.
Oh. I mean, it is the same timeline. It could
Right.
work. Again, though, it seems like this stuff was done before season 3, so it doesn't quite line up, but I like your thought.
Okay.
Number 3, there will be an Order 66 flashback scene as Jod Na Nawood. Hey, goodbye. Jude Law's character has a PTSD moment and tries to justify why he's a pirate. 4, Ashoka and Carson Teva will be shoehorned in so they can continue their streak of being in every Mandoverse show. That's a good point. Number 5, Vane, the pirate, will still be a whiny bitch while following his new pirate crew around. He was kind of a whiner. Number 6, Kylo Ren's theme will play at some random point during an episode in significance or deeper meaning. Oh, and finally, number 7, Snoke will peek around the corner of a cave at the end of an episode and never be featured again. Oh, so many little digs to the Acolyte there.
You know what? They should start doing that. Never tell anyone, just see if people start noticing it. But like a Where's Waldo? In some scene in a series, you'll just see him in the background peek his head out.
Snoke or Plagueis?
Plagueis.
Plagueis, yeah. I think that's a good idea. Just all the way in the background. Did you see it? Because some streamer will catch it. They'll be like, fucking look at this.
Right.
He's right there.
Yeah. It's either him or the guy in his underwear with the boom mic. One of those two have to show up.
I hope that doesn't ruin anything for you guys. It's 100% real. Wink emoji. Anyway, looking forward to hearing you guys again in my rotation, Brown Leader. P.S. Remember to vote to re-elect Mothma and Jano. They will bring 1,000 years of peace to the New Republic. Oh, you don't like Jano or whatever his name is.
Why? Why they gotta do that?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Fucking.
He's Dipshit's dad, right?
Yes, he's Dipshit's dad.
I know what's going on. Also, I want to back up a minute here.
Who's a total prick? Yeah.
I want to back up to the point where he spelled out wink emoji.
I know. He didn't put a wink emoji in.
Those are 2 words. Wink emoji.
He spelled it out.
Right.
Wink emoji.
Yeah. Okay. Just so everyone knows. All right.
Maybe he put wink emojis in previous emails and I didn't read them. So he was like, I'll just text
he
it out.
fucking writing this on his goddamn Motorola Razor? Like, wink emoji. Like,
it's on his little, like, old school BlackBerry that he had to,
Yeah, his sidekick.
Yeah, right. Oh, thank you, Brown Leader. Guess what, folks? Brown Leader just got some entries for that because he sent in a Maul Bag email.
Oh.
You can too.
Yep.
Be part of the giveaway.
He's first in there. Yep. He's going on the spreadsheet.
Yep.
You can do it too. You want to win things. Who doesn't want free things? You know what? You got to listen, participate a little bit. We'll talk about you. You'll talk about us. It'll be fun. We've got the next, what are we going to have? An episode, at least one episode before we start watching the show, right?
Oh, no. This is it.
Or are we going? Oh, so we're here, and then 2 weeks we're back with the episode 1 and 2.
Yeah, I was gonna let this preview run us all the way into the show because it's 2 weeks from Tuesday. So we'll start recording the episodes when those come out. Yeah. So this is it.
Okay. All right. So we'll see you. We'll see you next week. Thank you. Or we'll see you next time.
See you in 2 weeks. There you go.
Yes. Next time. Thanks for listening. Until next time.
Laugh it up, fuzzballs.
I promise we'll get our shit together. We have spoken.